Chapter 16. The sunset fell above Alaska. Wispy clouds stretched across the indigo sky. Cracked earth, felled trees, and crooked buildings painted the landscape. The damage was felt over 500,000 miles, thrusting up local land as high as 82 feet. Tsunamis ravaged the coastlines, engulfing towns and cities. Landslides spilled over roads. The world had split open. Unlike 1964, no humanitarian groups would come to their aid. The Russians and Americans were stuck in this together. At the end of the quiet, snaking road, the Bekhor ranch stood proud. A large crack ruptured one of the wheat fields, but the buildings, horse corral, and cattle pens were untouched. Nevertheless, a few cows managed to find their way out of their pens and grazed on the grass next to the road. Nearby the entrance gate, Eva and the rest dismounted their horses. Aiden and Cayman each guided the weary mammals by their reins. Everyone looked haggard and moved sluggishly. Tige ran out of the large yet cozy ranch house. "Cayman!" Tige smiled as he jogged to him. His older brother kept trudging forward. Tige's joy sank at his brother's lack of interest. Eva put an arm around him and walked with him back to the house. He wrinkled his nose. "You guys need a shower." "We'll use the water pump out back," Henry replied. He winced, moving his injured arm. After putting the horses away, they approached the house. Eva noticed it was crooked by a few degrees. Stepping inside, she found the farmhands sweeping the floor. A young and attractive Eskimo woman hung family photos back on the wall. Gabriel warmly greeted Aiden. "This is my wife, Angela. She doesn't speak English, but she understands." Aiden wasn't happy to hear that, but quickly recovered. "Glad to have her, and thanks for helping my son." "Any time, brother." Gabriel firmly shook his hand, a fierce loyalty in his voice. Eva didn't introduce herself or celebrate the success. She went straight to her room. One of the farmhands called out to her, "Mrs. Bekhor?" Eva glared at the boy. He was tall and lanky like a beanstalk. He had short sandy hair and fat lips that never seemed closed. He was a mouth breather and a simple lad. Eva held her tongue from saying, "What do you want?" The simple 20-year-old boy said, "I wanted to make stew for us. Is that okay if I use some vegetables from the garden?" Guilt came upon Eva, knowing that she'd almost been rude to the boy. "Absolutely. Just use the supplies in moderation. We have a lot of mouths to feed." "Thank you, Mrs. Bekhor." He headed for the exit. Eva entered her room and shut the door. She unslung her carbine and propped it against the wall. She sat on the chest near the window and buried her head in her dirty palms. Her splintering headache throbbed with every beat of her heart. The muscles all up and down her legs burned. Her stomach growled, and no water had touched her lips since the earliest part of the day. Her body was deflated. Tears welled in her eyes, and she silently wept. The door opened, and she quickly wiped her nose and adjusted her posture. Aiden stood in the doorway. He pursed his lips at the sight of her, his red hair and beard jutting out in every direction. He quickly shut the door behind him and walked to Eva. She sniffled and glanced out the open window. Aiden's large hand pressed on her cheek and turned her face to him. He looked deeply into her eyes. She could see the troubles of the day in his. He was an honest man that had been through the ringer. He'd been suspiciously silent since he rescued the mare. He leaned in for a kiss, but Eva drew back. Aiden pressed forward, touching his lips to her own. "Aiden," Eva whispered. Aiden kissed her passionately. Eva drew away but he advanced, locking lips and undoing the buttons on her stolen blouse. 2 buttons went down, revealing the white bulletproof vest. The color had a yellow hue around the neck and armpit areas. Eva pushed against Aiden's chest, not forcefully, but enough to get his attention. The man looked confused and offended. "Not now," Eva said softly. Aiden was about to protest, but stopped himself. "Okay," he replied quietly, and sat next to her. She leaned her head against his shoulder. Aiden put his arm around her side and pulled her close. He kissed the top of her head. "We're home." "It doesn't feel like it," Eva replied dryly. She fought the tears. She'd always been able to cry in front of her husband. Aiden said softly, "I'll get you some water. Heat it up. Get a bath going." He stood up, and Eva wanted to call him back, but she held her tongue. She knew he needed space to think, but she longed to be held by him. When he was out of the room, Eva's focus turned to the beautiful landscape outside. What now? She asked herself. Aiden returned a while later, holding a few buckets of water. "I couldn't find a way to heat them, sorry." He headed to the bathtub, put in the stopper, and poured out the buckets. He let Eva go first. She shuddered as she sank into the tub. The cold water turned murky around her. Scrapes and bruises marked her skin. She failed to recollect how she got them. She washed her face, cleaning the blood out of her swollen nose. She washed the dirt and sweat from her hair. When she got out of the cold tub, she rushed to the towel rack. The room temperature towel gave her some comfort. She looked into the mirror as she dried her hair. In the reflection, she saw the faces of Joseph, Misha, and the other men she killed, overlapping and staring back at her. Aiden knocked on the door. "Hey, dinner is ready." "Okay," Eva replied. She dried off and returned to the bedroom. Aiden had left his dirty clothes in a pile, but wasn't in the room. Eva put on sweatpants, warm socks, and a sweater. She kept a towel wrapped around her hair and joined the others in the dining room. Eva's old table had been brought out of the storage shed and pushed against the nicer dinner table. All 12 people congregated around them. The vegetable stew sat in a pot on the kitchen counter. Everyone had grabbed their own bowl and filled it. They drank filtered well water out of glasses, and Mayor Reed had brought out the celebratory wine. Eva, Lana, and Angela were the only ones who got a chance to bathe before the farmhands finished the meal. The soup had been heated over an open fire and was made of simple ingredients. After the cold bath, it was heavenly. The sound of spoons scraping the bottom of bowls occupied the silence. Harold Reed put a napkin over his finished bowl. "Ugh, good stuff. Great job, kids." The farmhands nodded at him. Having an air of importance, Harold put his hand on his chest. "Well, I'm Harold Reed. Many of you may know me." Gabriel, Angela, and the rest of the farmhands shook their head. The rest of the group didn't reply. "Well," Harold said, sounding offended, "I'm the mayor of Anchorage." Gabriel said, "Shouldn't you be helping your people?" Harold replied, "There's not much to do." Gabriel stopped mid-chew, eyeing him. Harold corrected, "Well, what I meant to say is that there is not much to do right now. The army, the earthquake, all of that is out of my control, but when some sense of order is returned, I will go back home and lead our people back to prosperity." Gabriel said, "Don't they need you now?" Harold cracked a sleazy smile. "I'm a politician, a Harvard alum, actually. The pulpit is my theater of war. Killing and conquering are for men much braver than myself. A time will come when they need me, and that's when I'll go." Lana interjected, "We still have to save Mom." "And we will, sweetie," Harold assured her.
when it's safe."
Lana lowered her eyes. Cayman held her hand beneath the table, comforting her. Harold put his hands together.
"Anyway, enough about all that stuff. You told me a little bit about your livestock, Mr. Bekhor, but I'd like a full rundown of supplies."
Henry said.
"Of course, Mayor, but what would you like to know? Our crops? Growing season?" "Hold up," Aiden interrupted. "We have 3 beds in this house and 12 guests. Before we can discuss rationing, we need to know who is staying and who is going."
There was a sobering silence. Bryce, one of the farmhands, raised his chubby arm.
"I want to head back to my dad." "Leonard is still sick?" Aiden asked.
Bryce nodded.
"It's bad. I haven't seen him all day. Wanted to keep your farm safe." "And thank you for that," Aiden said sincerely. "Do I get, extra money?"
The adults around the table exchanged looks. Aiden fished out his wallet.
"Sure, pal."
He pulled out a $100 bill and handed it to the young man.
Bryce gawked at the large amount before slipping it into the breast pocket of his plaid shirt.
Aiden said,
"Take a few cans of food, too."
Bryce said,
"I'll head out in the morning."
Aiden asked,
"Who else is leaving? Michael? Hosea?"
The 2 farmhands turned to him. Hosea was a short and stocky Hispanic 19-year-old.
"I don't have any food back home."
Michael nodded.
"Yeah, my parents got enough to take care of with my little brother. You guys were more of a family than they were. I'd like to stay. I'll earn my keep."
Hosea nodded.
Aiden said, "That doesn't solve our bedding issue."
"We have room on the couch," Eva said. "We can bring out a few sleeping bags."
Harold said, "We can put the kids on those."
Cayman replied,
"No way. You're a lot more resilient than us old guys," Harold said.
"I'm okay with that," Tig agreed.
Cayman said, "I'm not giving up my room." "So, you're gonna leave my daughter to sleep on the floor?" Harold asked. "Oh no, she can share my bed," Cayman said proudly.
Lana's face turned red.
All the adults spoke at once. "Not happening," Aiden said.
"Cayman!" Eva exclaimed.
Henry asked, "Where are your manners, son?" "Keep your hands off my daughter," Harold warned. "Chill out," Cayman shouted above the noise. "It was just a joke."
He stood up from the table.
"I'll say it once and I'll say it again. I'm not giving up my room. I've been through so much crap to sleep on the floor."
Harold growled.
"I was held at gunpoint too, boy."
Eva said, "This whole bed thing is getting way out of hand. Cayman, you'll be living with the rest of the boys. Harold or his daughter can have his bedroom."
"That's a bunch of bull,"
Cayman protested. "Gabriel and Angela will take Tig's room." Tig humbly accepted. "Henry will stay in the attic as per usual. Aiden and I will keep our room. Everyone else will have to manage out here," Eva said.
"Yep," Aiden replied. "You got any complaints, you can always sleep in the stable."
Harold said,
"Thank you both for being reasonable."
Cayman stewed in his anger. They'd gotten so caught up that they forgot to answer Harold's supply question. Eva was relieved it was disregarded. She had an unction to help, but wasn't willing to let a stranger know everything about all that she owned and labored for. After dinner, everyone agreed to finish bathing and go to bed. However, the farmhands were tasked with rounding up the last of the cows before dark. Eva let the boys find the sleeping bags and work out how they were going to divvy up space. She wished them good night and climbed into her own bed. Aiden bathed in her old water before joining her on the queen-sized mattress. Eva pulled her covers to her chin. Her body longed for rest. She shut her eyes, but her mind raced 1,000,000 miles per hour. She replayed everything from the car crash to the rescue at City Hall, wondering how things could have been changed for the better. She wanted to tell herself that she made the right choice every time, but that wouldn't be true. The next morning, Eva awoke before Aiden. The damage on her body kept her in bed. She lay on her back and stared at the inactive ceiling fan. She fought depressing thoughts and lost. She had dirt on her that couldn't be washed off. She wanted nothing more than to curl up and die. Existence was hollow. "These thoughts aren't you," a little voice in her head told her. She wondered why she wasn't celebrating. She got out alive. Her family was safe. All but her parents. They were still in the assisted living facility. Eva prayed they found shelter from the earthquake. Aiden got up an hour later. He stretched and popped his back. He leaned back and kissed her. "Love you." His words breathed over her ear. He got dressed in rugged work clothes and went to tend to the animals. It was like nothing had changed. Eva stayed bedbound for most of the morning. Voices from the kitchen seeped through the walls. She longed for the open air. She slung her legs out of bed, and after getting dressed in cargo pants and a police sweater, she put her hair into a ponytail. Harold, Tige, Cayman, and the farmhand sat at the table. Harold said, "Your dad came in, crazy-eyed and ready to start shooting. I wasn't sure if he was there to save me or kill me." Cayman shook his head. "I still can't believe he did that." "You think the army has a chance?" Bryce asked. Harold said, "As an official statement, yes, but personally, we don't have the numbers. I imagine the Ruskies are planning a full invasion." Eva walked to the pantry and grabbed a box of cereal. She poured in honey bunches of oats into a bowl and joined the men at the table. They all mumbled good morning to her. Tige asked how she was feeling. "Fine." Eva faked a smile. She grabbed a handful of cereal and crunched it down. A few oats dropped from her mouth. Harold cleared his throat. "Lana and I had a long talk last night." Harold let the statement dramatically linger before continuing. "We'd like to arrange a rescue mission for her mother." "Your wife, you mean?" Eva asked suspiciously. "Of course my wife," Harold responded. "You and your rugged band of heroes did so well saving us, I thought it wouldn't be too much to ask for one favor." The opportunity enticed Eva. The prospect of redemption appealed to her. Saving one life wouldn't erase her past, but it might help. "I'll have to think about it." "Is that a no?" Harold asked. "No, I want to talk to Aiden first," Eva said. "What are the chances he says yes?" "I don't know. I haven't asked him yet," Eva answered. "Give me an estimate." "I really can't say," Eva said, getting annoyed. Harold pushed the issue. "It's life or death." "I know," Eva said. "So you should talk to him now," Harold replied. He noticed her sweater. "You're a cop, right? That means that your mission is to protect and serve. Lucky for you, you're getting your orders straight from the mayor." Cayman spoke up. "Bro, stop pressuring her. You're nothing." "Excuse me," Harold said, his round face glowing red with anger. "You heard me. You, me, my mom, we're nothing. Jobs don't matter anymore. School doesn't matter anymore. It's survival of the fittest," Cayman said. "Watch your tone, young man," Harold pointed. Eva said, "Don't talk to my son like that." Harold said, "He's a spoiled little brat." "Screw you, man. I wasn't the one crying the minute the terrorists showed up." "Oh, please don't kill me. I'll give you anything, anything," Cayman mocked him. Harold burst from his seat. "Why, I oughta—" "Enough," Eva shouted. "Shut up or get out."
Cayman crossed his arms. His eye shot daggers at Harold. Yeah, both of you, Eva clarified. Harold backed down. Bryce squirmed in the tense silence. He got up. I'm gonna head back home, I guess. Eva got up and hugged him. We'll miss you, Bryce. Thank you for everything, the plump boy said. Come back any time. There's always plenty of work. Eva ushered him out the door. Tell your father that we're thinking about him. Bryce waved her goodbye. He stuffed his hands in his pockets and walked down the road. Aiden tilled the ground. Henry used one hand to brush the paint horse's front leg. Eva yelled back into the living room. Give them a hand, guys. The farmhands and Eva's sons hurried outside. Harold stayed at the table, eating some of Eva's cereal. You too, she said. Harold said. I'm not dressed for it. You can borrow some of my husband's clothes. Follow me, Eva said. Harold reluctantly changed out of his dusty suit and put on jeans, a collared shirt, and a Carhartt jacket. He joined the men outside. Eva called Henry away from the horses. You shouldn't be working. I still have one good arm, Henry said. Yeah, but you need rest. Let the young guys take over for the next few days. It'll be good for them. Henry said, I can work fine, but I'll take your advice. You should rest too. Yesterday was a tough one. The toughest, Eva said. The entire police force is gone. A lot of good people lost their lives. Henry's eyes watered. You couldn't change that. I know, Eva replied. But she lied to herself. She should have worked harder to warn them. Henry put a hand on her shoulder. Eva, you did a good job. Most people wouldn't have done a fraction of what you did. I know. Once again, it felt like a lie. Henry saw right through her facade. He hugged her, and together they returned inside. Eva tried to rest. She couldn't get over the fact that everyone else was working. Lana left her room around noon. The teenage girl went for the pantry first thing. Eva knew that they had to start thinking about food rationing. How are you holding up? Eva asked, resting her shoulder on the side of the kitchen doorway. She held a can of Coke. Hungry, Lana said. I threw up this morning. I'm sorry, stomach bug? Lana shrugged. Don't know. I think it's stress. I understand, Eva said sympathetically. It's like, why did this have to happen to me, you know? I'm at the top of my class. I lead the cheer team, and then the whole world has to end. Eva chuckled. It's not funny, Lana said sharply. Eva controlled her emotions. You're right, but it's not the end of the world. You expect me to live on a farm for the rest of my life? Please. Lana grabbed a half-full bag of sliced bread and the peanut butter. You got jelly? There's some blackberry preserves in the fridge. Go ahead and have it. Nothing in there is going to last more than a week. Lana got the jelly and spread it on her sandwich. What made you come after us? I had to protect my son, Eva said. Yeah, but even the army couldn't breach the building, Lana replied. Eva replied. They were the distraction I needed to get inside. It was nice of you to run to your father after the school was attacked. I thought City Hall would be the safest place, Lana answered. She took a bite of her sandwich. What now? Eva said. I'm still trying to figure that out. How are we all going to live here? Lana asked. We have another property, Eva admitted. It's Henry's, actually. It's 50 miles northwest of here. There are supplies there. It's nearly impossible to reach without a plane, though. It can be done if we have to do it. Lana seemed confused. Why do you own it? It's so extra. Henry is a prepper, Eva said matter-of-factly. Like fallout shelter and everything? The second property has small shelter to live in, just in case. That's crazy. Lana took another bite. Eva explained. Henry has always been a man of the earth. After the government screwed him over on a few land deals in Texas, he never had much trust in the establishment. He moved out here to be a free man. When I married Aiden, I became an outdoorsy woman. Took some time to get over the city life. But I wouldn't want to go back.
But there's nothing to do out here.
What do you do normally?
Roller skating, hanging out at coffee shops, homework, Lana said.
And lots of Instagram? Eva asked.
Snapchat. My dad doesn't let me go on there too much, Lana said.
But
I'm almost 18. I can make my own choices, Lana said.
Eva said, I remember those years. I did a lot of stupid things.
I can't see it, Lana said.
I've always had a little crazy in me. Why do you think I became a cop? Eva winked. Lana was shocked and then laughed a little.
Maybe you can tell my dad to get off my back.
He's looking out for you. Trust me, Eva said.
Not Mom, though,
Lana said bitterly. What's the deal with them? Eva asked.
Lana shrugged. I don't know how much I can say. Dad had an affair.
I'm sorry you had to go through that.
No, it gets worse. Mom wanted to get back at him, so she slept with Terry Cox,
Lana said. That name sounds familiar, Eva thought aloud.
It's the guy who ran against my dad 2 years ago, Lana said.
Whoa.
Uh-huh,
Lana said.
They're still together, but it's more for appearances than anything.
It explains your dad's lack of enthusiasm, Eva said.
I'm not just going to leave my mom behind. All of us have to work together to survive, right? Lana asked.
Sounds right to me, Eva said.
So you'll help me get her back?
The girl's desperation melted Eva's heart. We'll have to see, Eva said. Eva got used to repeating that response to the girl and her father for the next week. Living with them was hell on earth. They were incompetent on the farm, overeaters and entitled. If Eva had known this was the type of person who'd be mayor, she would have taken more time at the polls. Alas, this was their lot. The 2 remaining farmhands worked well, but Eva spotted Hosea outside one evening, watching Angela bathe through the window. The boy claimed he was just taking a leak outside, but Eva wasn't an idiot. She let him off with a warning. Creepy stuff like that wouldn't be tolerated. Michael, on the other hand, was a godsend. He was agreeable and friendly to everyone at the house. He was okay being last to eat or use the well water. Eva would trade half of the people on the property for clones of Michael. Gabriel and Angela communicated in Eskimo. Gabriel ordered the farmhands and tended to the property. Angela assisted in the greenhouse, collected natural herbs, and cooked. The woman was multi-talented, quiet, and barely spoke. A small grin grew on her blemish-free face when she saw Eva. Henry worked despite his injury. He tended to the horses and helped Eva's boys complete their tasks. His arm wound healed quickly but was still a ways off from a full recovery. Tig spent most of the time tending to the sheep. He'd take long walks, praying and meditating on life. Cayman continued to work the hard soil. Eva saw him and Lana slip off together sometimes. Aiden pulled him aside one night and talked about the dangers of getting a woman pregnant. None of the adults approved of the relationship. Cayman couldn't care less. Aiden took charge of the farm and house. He insisted Eva regain her strength before getting back to her normal duties. Unfortunately, for both of their sakes, Eva could not stand not doing something. She worked mostly in the greenhouse and storage, making sure everything was cataloged, labeled, and ready for consumption. They had a few months of summer to grow and plant before the dark winter arrived. It would be cold this year. She could feel it. Like the cycle of life itself, everything that she planted will die and be reborn come spring. Luckily, time was on her side. During the nights, Aiden and Eva shared the same bed. Making love took their minds off the stresses of the world.
Eva hated that she found her mind distant most of the time. She loved Aiden, but her sex drive had been lower since the blackout. The same couldn't be said for Angela and Gabriel. It sounded like a zoo in their room. Aiden and Eva got chuckles out of it.
"It's the most I've ever heard her speak,"
Aiden said. In the darkness, only his silhouette was visible on the bed. "You call those words?" Eva cuddled up next to him. Aiden listened and then said,
"Maybe I should have married an Eskimo."
"Ha ha," Eva said dryly. Aiden kissed her on the head.
"But no one will ever replace you."
"You're such a sop," Eva replied.
"Any more thoughts on Lana, Harold's situation?"
Aiden asked. Eva sighed deeply. They don't have anywhere to go.
"I'm sure there are plenty of people who'd like to host Anchorage's favorite mayor,"
Aiden said half-jokingly. "I don't want to throw them out to the wolves," Eva said.
"But we need to look after our family. Bekhors come first. That's the only way we survive this," Aiden said.
"Cayman won't be happy."
"He'll get over it,"
Aiden said. "I hope so. She's the only person he seems to enjoy being with," Eva said.
"A little too much in my opinion,"
Aiden grumbled. "They're kids," Eva reminded him.
"I waited until I was married. He can too. It just takes some self-control," Aiden said.
Ancient memories of Eva's old boyfriends came to mind. Knowing how much those relationships hurt Aiden, once he'd learned about them during their engagement, turned all those times sour. "I'm not happy about it either," Eva said, "but what can we do?"
"I don't know," Aiden said, frustrated. "Hopefully something. Cayman's always had that rebellious streak."
"What if we go back to Anchorage and save the wife?" Eva asked.
"Why? We both know she's probably dead," Aiden said.
"It might be the only way to get our guests to depart."
"Or add another stressful person to our overcrowded home,"
Aiden counter-argued. Eva thought about it. "We really won't know unless we try." Aiden sat up from the bed. His shadowed head turned to her.
"You can't seriously want to go back to that hellhole."
Eva replied, "My parents are there too." Aiden pinched the bridge of his nose. Eva said, "We can use that time to get supplies. The schools are storehouses, and I doubt they repaired every window."
"You want to push a shopping cart all the way back home?"
Aiden asked bluntly. "We can put saddlebags on the horses. It won't slow us down too much," Eva suggested. Aiden shook his head. "And why not?"
"A million reasons. We're safe, first and foremost," Aiden said. "And your parents are good Christian folks. I'm sure the Lord is looking after them. Besides, Jazz still has a bum leg."
"We'll take a different horse," Eva said. Aiden laid back down.
"I think this is a bad idea."
"It's not the best, but it's the right thing to do," Eva said.
"Maybe being here, staying alive, is the right thing to do," Aiden said.
"Please, Aiden, I need this." Aiden conceded.
"Take another week. Think about it. Think about what we could lose."
The next week moved a lot slower. Eva's injuries faded. She felt much more alert. There were no serious problems at the ranch. The people had gotten used to the situation quickly. Laughter had returned. Work moved faster, and they all had more downtime to ride horses, play board games, and talk about the world that once was. Harold and Lana got more anxious, though. Lana's frustration fueled Harold's, and they both bombarded Eva and Aiden daily about returning to the city. Eventually, Eva had enough. She called the two of them behind the barn. "Listen up," Eva said. "You want to get your wife, you're going with me." Harold was at a loss for words. He quickly recovered.
"I told you already, I'm not a soldier."
"And she's not my wife. You want to save her, we go together," Eva said. Lana hugged her father's arm. "Dad." Harold gnashed his teeth.
"Ugh, why do you have to make things so difficult?" I'll go, but we go immediately."
Eva bounced her eyes between the angry man and his distraught daughter. "Okay." Chapter 17. Anton hated Anchorage. He hated the smell, the broken roads, and the people that wouldn't give up. He walked the streets, holding Nico's AK-47, with his T-5000 rifle strapped across his back. Tashi and Levi followed after him. They spotted enemy movement on the balcony of an apartment's second story. Anton and the others moved to cover. The building had tilted 5 degrees sideways since the earthquake. The gas station next to it had blown up days ago. Tongues of fire danced on the rubble. Anton moved there for cover. The wispy smoke masked him while he equipped his sniper rifle. Tashi and Levi spread out to different parts of the street. Tashi hurried behind a vandalized bank van. Levi mounted his machine bipod on a lower portion of a shattered window at a coffee shop. Taking a knee, Anton aimed through his scope. Through the white smoke drifting over his lens, he saw the head of an enemy sniper move to the apartment's balcony. Without hesitation, Anton took the shot. The enemy died, and the real fight began. A few people shouted inside of the apartment. Levi's machine gun blasted in the glass sliding doors. Using the suppressing fire to her advantage, Tashi ran for the apartment's doors. The manly female gymnast shot to the door and kicked it open. She vanished inside. Anton turned his attention to various apartment balconies. Tashi's gunfire sounded inside. Failing to see movement, he followed the noise. It moved through the hallways, near the left side of the building. Anton trained his sights on the emergency exit. A moment later, it burst open, and 2 armed women ran out. Backs to Anton, they ran. They ran in a row for a second, and that was all Anton needed to pull the trigger. Both bodies dropped. Levi mowed down a target running out of the other side of the building. Tashi appeared on the balcony. She raised a fist. Anton lowered his sniper rifle. "Impressive," Natasha said, standing beside him. "I thought you had a soft spot for women." Anton slung his rifle in favor of the AK. He reconvened with the team in the militia's hideout. There was a stack of canned food. Half were opened and half were sealed. The place smelled of sweat and urine. Levi replaced the drum magazine on his RPK machine gun. "You'd think they'd give up by now." His voice was tired and strained. His beard had grown longer and his fatigues were dirty. "They are Americans," Tashi spat. "Annoying is what they are," Levi said, his weary eyes scanning the apartment. "There's nothing here, Anton." Anton nodded curtly. Tashi found a stash of water bottles in the kitchen. She tossed one to Levi. The bear-like man caught it with his hairy hand. He unscrewed the top and chugged it down. He squeezed it when it was finished and tossed it aside. Tashi put a hand on her hip. The other rested her AK uprightly against his shoulder. "You were supposed to share that." "Sorry," Levi said, surprisingly sincere. Tashi tossed another bottle to Anton. He grabbed it in midair and slipped it into his pants pocket for later. Levi approached the bullet-ridden balcony. He stepped over the dead body and looked out across the desolate street. "The Russian army will walk those streets soon. I wonder what they'll think." Tashi reached into a half-eaten can of baked beans and scooped the gloppy food into her mouth. "You still think they're coming?" "That was the mission," Levi said. "There is no mission," Tashi replied dryly. "Don't forget while we're here, Tashi," Levi said sharply. Silent, she finished the can and wiped her hand on a dish towel resting on the sink. Levi said, "I won't put up with this low morale business. Anton,
talk some sense into her.
Anton turned to Tashi. His tone lacked enthusiasm.
No more negativity.
Tashi rested her gun on the stove and stretched her arms far above her head. It's been 2 weeks, Captain. Our army is broken, but yet you have us going place to place. Shooting Americans, killing Americans. Why?
Levi glared at her. The army will come.
I didn't take you for a man of faith.
Tashi insulted him. I believe in what our commanders promised, like every good soldier,
Levi said. Tashi said to Anton, Answer my question. Why are we doing this?
Anton replied, Local militias and fragments of the American army have footholds all over the city. It's our job to dismantle them.
Yes, but watching the school was our actual mission, Tashi said.
The school is lost, Anton said calmly. We're much more useful out here.
Levi nodded, a serious expression on his face.
And the American army is still fighting. Both sides are. We may be scattered, but we are not defeated. Every rat's nest we clear, we save the lives of our soon-arriving comrades.
Tashi mumbled, Whatever. She bent over and touched her toes. You just tell me who I need to shoot. Levi was annoyed.
You make it sound like we're killing indiscriminately. This is war, Tashi. We kill so our children won't have to.
I'm sure your daughter is very proud of you, Tashi said sarcastically, finishing her stretches.
Levi said, She is. When New Russia plants its flag on this country, generations will know our names.
And how long before the Chinese and Europeans want a piece of the pie? Tashi asked, rhetorically. Levi chuckled. What's so funny? Tashi asked.
Don't you get it? Selling them parts of the continent was part of the war agreement. Russia paves the way. Russia gets power. Russia makes her friends happy, and the world keeps spinning.
Who told you this? Tashi snapped back, surprised by the information.
It's common sense. Tell her, Anton,
Levi said. Anton glanced at the late afternoon sun.
Let's keep moving.
Tashi grabbed a rifle. Yes, there are more people to kill. Anton left the apartment and continued down the street. Small skirmishes erupted across the broken cityscape. The American army was much more formidable than he'd expected. However, he had expected reinforcements to arrive after the EMP detonated, to quash them quickly. He first assumed that the earthquake caused the delay. But why was there no air support? The insurgents had secured the airport on the first day of the attack. Anton had a few theories. The first was that the Russians had invaded America, but not Anchorage. After the earthquake, the city wasn't as worth sending resources and soldiers right away. If this theory was correct, the Russians would be late, but would still arrive at some point. They would destroy the American forces, establish outposts, and funnel their troops into Canada. His second theory was that the United States or another nation had waged war on Russia after the EMP. In that case, they would have reallocated their troops to more strategic locations. Anchorage didn't hold much value now. They'd be facing enemies on all fronts. His third theory was the darkest of them all. The U.S. and another nation had struck Russia the moment the attack happened, maybe using nukes to cripple them. If that was the case, Anton and the rest were fighting for nothing. Other nations would arrive and pick their bones like vultures. It would be a fitting fate. Anton knew his side weren't the heroes. Having come to terms with this fact made it much easier to kill the patriotic homelanders and their wives. He hoped that he'd eventually find Natasha's killer among them. After that, he'd vanish into the Alaskan wilderness and live off the land. Thinking of the idea made him long for the cool spring water and his fishing rod. They encountered a band of Marines outside of a food bank. Anton ordered his squad to sneak by them. Successful, Anton led them up through a tall hotel and hunkered down in the penthouse suite for the night. Darkness fell over the city. Multiple buildings burned brightly. The sound of gunfire echoed into the night. Tashi and Levi did push-ups on the living room floor. Anton set his sniper rifle on the balcony railing and watched the city. Natasha rested her crossed elbows on the railing. Crimson flowed from her neck. "I'd love to make love to you on a night like this." Anton replied, watching an army Humvee burn through his scope. "She's out there somewhere," Natasha said. "I know," Anton replied. Like ants, the soldiers near the Humvee scattered. "You can go to her, maybe," Natasha suggested. "How?" Anton asked. "Her son attended the school. His picture would be on the file. I'm sure his name and address would be in the records. Find that and you'll find her," Natasha said. Anton pulled away from the scope and looked at the dead woman. "Why didn't I think of that earlier?" "Your judgment was clouded," Natasha said. "Not true," Anton replied calmly. "Really? Going from house to house was the best way to find her?" Natasha asked, smiling smugly. Anton said, "That was your idea." "Maybe you shouldn't listen to a dead woman." Anton pursed his lips. "You needed to let off some steam. Fighting does that," Natasha told him. "That's not the type of person I am," Anton said. "I know you better than you know yourself," Natasha replied. "Anton," Levi said from the balcony doors. The sniper turned back to his comrade. "What is it?" "We are headed to bed. The doors are booby-trapped. Do you still want to be the night guard?" Levi asked. "I'll stay up," Anton said. "You two get some sleep." Levi returned inside, but kept the door open. Without it, there would be no breeze. Anton took a deep breath. Natasha had vanished again. He stayed up late, watching the flames spread through the city. He thought back to his childhood. War was something glamorous back then. He dreamed of fighting for a cause. He wanted to be a hero. He longed to rid the world of evil. He'd been tortured and carved up for being a spy. There was glory in that. Taking the United States only meant more death. He felt progressively numb to violence. Before the early morning sun peeked over the horizon, Anton awoke on the balcony chair. He was uncertain what time the night before he'd fallen asleep. He put his palms on the cold railing and watched the city. Tendrils of smoke lifted from heaps of ruin. He yawned and returned inside. Levi rested belly down on the bed. Drool trickled down the corner of his lips. Loud snores escaped his gaping mouth. Tashi was under her covers. Her boots stood at the foot of her bed. Anton grabbed his bottled water from yesterday and drank it up. He unzipped Levi's backpack and grabbed a protein bar. He ate that as well. He disassembled his sniper rifle on the bar counter and individually cleaned each part. When he finished 45 minutes later, he woke the others. They were quick to get up and get ready to head out. After brushing their teeth, using the bathroom, and double-checking their supplies, Tashi and Levi followed Anton down the hotel's many flights of stairs. The walk gave them plenty of time to wake up, and by the time they were outside, they were ready for whatever challenges awaited them. Anton started back in the direction of the school. He didn't tell the other two, fearing that they might believe they'd returned to their previous mission. A few hours into the day, they were picked up by a truck full of other insurgents. Bandaged and bloody, they told them about the war against the army. Seated on the side of the truck's bed, Anton felt every bump on the road. Across from him, a man wearing a bandage over his right eye said in Russian,
"We've sent 3 waves of attackers to Fort Richards, and all of them were eliminated. We're trying again today."
He patted his hand on the toolbox.
"We built something special for them this time."
Levi opened it and eyed the piles of C4 explosives.
"Impressive. We stored most of them in metal mesh boxes before the EMP to preserve the detonator's integrity."
He shut the box.
"We could use your help delivering the payload."
Levi turned to Anton, eager to accept the mission. Tashi was indifferent.
Anton replied, "We're on our own mission."
The one-eyed man frowned.
"I see."
They dropped Anton's squad off at a crossroads and drove out of sight. Levi asked,
"What mission are we on that's more important than crippling our enemy?"
Anton said coldly,
"I am in charge here. You will listen to me."
Though angry, Levi didn't question him anymore. By midday, they arrived at the half-burnt high school. Chapter 18. Eliana raced down the country road. Eva held firm to the reins. Her legs squeezed the horse's muscular body. The wind brushed against her face, and the horse's hooves thundered. Eva hunched over as it galloped. Cayman and Aiden raced behind her. Arms wrapped around the boy's torso, Mayor Reed held on to Cayman for dear life. Behind them, parts of the massive Fort Richards exploded as multiple C4 charges detonated at key locations. Soldiers and insurgents engaged in battle in and around the fort. The rat-a-tat-tat of machine guns echoed across the tree-spotted fields. Eva and her crew dashed away from the conflict. The sounds of warfare slowly vanished in their wake. Sweaty and tired, they were unsure of what hell awaited them. Soon, Fort Richards was just a memory. The road leveled out as they approached the city limits. They passed through a suburban neighborhood on the outskirts. Like sharp teeth, jagged glass lined broken window frames. Doors were busted down. All manners of evil could be seen on the sidewalks. Multiple dead bodies lay face down in puddles of dried blood. It was uncertain if the devastation was the work of insurgent or local marauders. Within a short 2-week time frame, following the earthquake, homeland invasion, and electronic fallout, all traces of society were dead or dying. Eva slowly trotted through the ghost town, a look of disgust on her face. The city she'd sworn to protect, her home, was but a sad shadow closer resembling the underworld than any place on earth. She rode through a nightmare, having recognized one dead couple from a domestic dispute a few years ago. The mayor sensed the dread in the atmosphere. He wanted to turn back, but he was the whole reason they were here. Cayman cursed under his breath. A woman lay half naked on the sidewalk. A bent pipe rested next to her. It had been used to batter the side of her head in. Aiden was deadly silent. They moved from the suburban area and into the inner city. The apartments and Section B housing remained in reasonably good conditions. The house with barred windows was practically untouched. It paid to be poor in a dog-eat-dog world. Eva's cop sense was tingling. Someone was watching her. She kept one hand on the horse's reins and proceeded cautiously. They heard a scuffling sound behind a nearby house. Eva drew out her carbine and her fingers slid over the cold trigger. Aiden equipped the Winchester repeater rifle that his father had lent him. Moving quickly, almost as if a blur, a group of dirty and screaming 5 to 11-year-old children ran out from along the house and started throwing rocks and stones at Eva, Cayman and Aiden. The horses got spooked. Eva's mare rose up on her hind legs. "Whoa!" Eva exclaimed, feeling gravity pushing her down. She clasped the reins with one hand, keeping herself from falling backward. Unable to control his mount, Cayman raced forward. Hugging the teenager, a string of colorful expletives flowed from Harold's chapped lips. Back off, I said," Aiden yelled at the kids. Snot-nosed and dirty, the children demanded their food and guns as they continued their barrage of stones. The youngest was a chubby little girl who could hardly throw more than a few yards. "Where are your parents?" Aiden inquired. "Who's in charge?" The children were too starved and maddened to answer his questions. "Food, guns, horses too," they demanded. Their high-pitched voices overlapped one another. "Quiet down." Eva fished out peanut packets out of her pockets and tossed them to the children. They pounced on the packets like they were gold coins. Eva asked, "Where are you staying?" "More food, more!" The children outshouted her request with more demands. The big kids ripped the snacks from the little ones. Aiden said, "We don't have any more food." Gunshots sounded. Eva turned that way and raised a rifle. Wearing tattered clothes, a crazed homeless man sprinted into the street, pointing a revolver at Cayman and then Eva's way. "You get away from those kids, you!" The children's screaming overshadowed his words. All the little boys and girls scattered behind the various suburban homes. The homeless man aimed back at Cayman and started making demands. Bam! A bullet hit the hobo's center mass, and his body hit the ground. A faintly visible wisp of smoke drifted from Eva's carbine. She lowered her rifle, her heart pounding. She reared her head back to Aiden. "We gotta keep moving." They raced out of the neighborhood. No one threatened her baby. As they got into the lower-income housing areas, groups of scavengers battled it out, using baseball bats, metal pipes, and whatever other tools they had at their disposal. Food was a rare commodity, and after 2 weeks into the forced fast, they were afraid to use violence to get what they needed. It appeared someone had taken pleasure in tossing Molotov cocktails at various homes and cars littered throughout the cracked streets. Eva imagined it was a disparaged youth, using the chaos to live out his anarchist fantasy. As they went deeper into the city, the earthquake damage appeared to have worsened. Buildings leaned to the left and right. Cars sank in the sinkholes. Bodies had been crushed under the weight of fallen debris. Vultures and crows plucked at the putrid flesh, tearing off large chunks that dangled from their hooked beaks. Their heads cocked to the side as they watched the horses trot by. Down Main Street and the adjacent roads, city officials hung from streetlights. Their nooses creaked. "I knew all of them," Harold gestured to the men in suits. "Good people." Their faces were black. Their swollen tongues peeked out of their purple lips. "Why would someone do this?" Harold asked. "It's a warning," Aiden said. "We'll find another way around." They neared the coastline. Boats had broken against the seawall. Ocean water had spilled over and flooded the nearby neighborhoods. Houses became ponds and breeding grounds for mosquitoes and scores of gnats. Aiden trotted next to Harold. "If your wife is not home, we're leaving." "I understand," Harold said soberly. Their horses trudged through 3 inches of water. McMansions occupied both sides of the street. Eva spotted snipers on the roofs. Their bellies rested at the roof's point. Their barrels tracked the horses' movement. She quickly realized that they'd stepped into a kill box. We're just passing through, Eva said. One of the snipers said, You've gone far enough. Cayman blurted out, We don't have anything. Guns and horses, the sniper replied. Hurry up, get off. Eva said, I'm a cop. That's my husband Aiden and my son Cayman. Our fourth rider is, I don't care, the sniper yelled. Get off or get shot. Eva set her jaw. The rest of her group turned to her, awaiting instructions. Eva counted 4 snipers. Even if Cayman, Eva, and Aiden all shot one, they'd still get hit. Eva was unsure if they were bluffing. Aiden asked, Can you just listen to us for one moment? When we have your guns and horses, you can talk as much as you'd like, the sniper said. I'm going to start counting. Aiden grumbled. Darn it, he said under his breath. Eva, we don't. I know, she said, pointedly, and dismounted. Water flushed into her shoes and soaked her socks. The door to a nearby house flung open. Shouting, 5 men stampeded out, aiming pistols, rifles, and shotguns. From rich to gangster, a variety of garments covered their bodies. On your knees! On your knees! Eva held her gun above her head and dropped to her knees. The lukewarm water engulfed part of her shins. One by one, her crew dropped to their knees. The bandits charged at them, shouting commands to disorient them. They ripped the carbine from Eva's palms. Finished? Eva asked over the noise. Horrified and lost in the moment, a middle-aged man turned the gun around and slammed the stock into Eva's forehead.